that was 6.5 times your income. And last year, that $50,000 in revenue, you'd have spent $79,000. And you know what? You know what you want to spend this year? Last year, you brought in 50, you spent 79. This year, you know how much you want to spend this year? 86. Now, the House of Representatives, they ran last year in November on a platform of cutting $100 billion. Cutting $100 billion from the proposed amount of 86,000 cuts it all the way to 83.7. But remember, 83.7, what did you actually spend last year? 79,000. See, we are not, these cuts they're talking about, these draconian cuts, it's like, oh, the NPR Cowboy Poetry Festival in Nevada ain't gonna happen. At the end of the country as we know it, you know. It's like, no, you know, you're still spending, we're not cutting from what we actually spent last year. We're cutting from this high amount we want to spend this year. See, you know, if the Republicans don't have a clue, and a lot of them appear not to, you know, the Democrats would be, you know, dumber than a box of rocks. They're neither one of them. But I don't think any of the folks. There's some, Marco Rubio here in Indiana, Mike Pence, Stutzman. What's his name? He's at the B. I was running through the list here real quick. About half of our representatives voted against the most recent continuing resolution that the $6 billion cut wasn't it. But no, I mean, if our kids, you know, you're not married yet, but you think about the day when you're married and you have kids, if you're going to have a future, let alone your kids, you know, $6 billion, that's not going to diet. It's like, well, I guess instead of like a quart of ice cream, you know, I could get by, not with a pint, but with like, you know, a pint and a large cone. You know? It's like, no, it's like no more ice cream. You know, I mean, and that's what we are. It's like we're on a diet. It's like, well, I could maybe, you know, cut an ounce or two off of that quart. But anymore, my body'd crash. It's like, no, you don't understand. You're going to like die of heart disease if you don't cut out the ice cream now. But again, it goes back to self-control. And then in Romans 1, when Paul talks about, you know, fallen humanity's ability to distort the truth, to fail to perceive accurately. And, yeah, I don't know. I hope, but I don't know. But you know, at the end of the day, there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth. And I don't know, it could happen in my lifetime, it could happen 500 years after I'm dead. But Scripture tells us that this world around us is appointed to at one time be destroyed by fire. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's really not accumulating the stuff, because it's not our stuff to begin with. It's God's stuff. Matthew 25, 14 through 30. It's what we're entrusted with, using that in accordance with God's wishes and God's desires. But yeah, if I was in Washington, I would just cut. And what I'd do is I'd try and end up with a sandbox so small that, you know, okay, you senators, you representatives, go play. And do whatever you want, but you cannot leave the sandbox. And then the rest of us are like, well, what are those crazy overgrown kids doing? They're playing, but they're not hurting us, so let's just go on with our life. I mean, that's basically how I would do it. You know, the former president, Monk Malloy at Notre Dame, had it right. The faculty senate up there passed some sort of a resolution when I was in graduate school. And he said, no, they don't have a clue. The faculty senate can pass all the resolutions they want, but they don't even have the authority to vote themselves out of existence. And so basically, you know, that's what we need to do, is to get the federal government basically that small. If you want to study history, the first big growth of the federal government, when do you think that happened? Want to say a little louder?
FDR.
It's earlier than that. See, that's the answer I would expect out of most people. That was the second.
Was it Teddy?
It was a Republican.
Teddy Roosevelt?
The first Republican. He had a funny beard. Lincoln, yes. See, go back and look at the Civil War, how the troops were organized. the 7th Indiana, the 42nd Michigan. Up through the Civil War, you could live your entire life. And somebody asked, well, what are you? You'd say, I'm a Virginian. I'm a Pennsylvanian. I'm from Michigan. They first got their identity from their state. And so the 13th, for all the good that happened with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, they did a lot to grow the federal government and therefore diminish the power of the state governments. And then the second big one would have been FDR. FDR's brother Teddy gets his fair share of blame too. Teddy the Trust Buster. He national parks, antitrust legislation, things like that. And then Lyndon Johnson, Great Society. But it's interesting that, and you know, Lincoln, he faced a tough hand to play. So we don't want to be too hard on him. But he's like most historical figures. He's not uniformly good or uniformly bad. And his actions a lot of times are a product of the environment he lived in and the things he had to deal with. And so, you know, he probably weighed, if preserving the Union takes this growth in federal power, I'll preserve the Union. Others might have answered differently. Others most certainly would have answered differently. But yeah, that was the first big expansion of federal power, the very first Republican president.
Well, I guess that's it. Thanks so much for coming out.
You're welcome.
And you, Dr. Lemler. Appreciate it.
You guys can stop by the office anytime if you have questions. And I may answer them, I may shoot you out, but I'll probably, if you ask nice.
It's a wrap. That's a wrap.
Oh, he's late.
Yep.
Yeah, have a good one. Spend it in the winter.
Is this one using class?
Do you still work at physical plant?
No, actually, I'm working at
So you're driving, you're not walking, you're getting.
It's been painful.
My Honda Civic is on that mileage.
Well, I like the Explorer. It's getting great for the winter. And the car is back to Maryland, I guess.
Which is probably the work conditions. Yeah. Work conditions.
It's just worth it. I mean, gotta be minded. I usually work.
Sounds good. I'll fill out lots of tax forms.
See, it's a very interesting thing.
Oh, you will?
I've up to about 70,000.
See, since it replaces wages, see, the reason Social Security is had traditionally been excluded was you got no deduction for your Social Security taxes you paid. And the Social Security payments you receive was like a return of those taxes. And even that based on your income level, some people have to report their Social Security taxable income.
It's just how high those wages will get around 70,000. It's just like, wow.
They still get unemployment.
That's frustrating.
And then eye-opening.
Yeah, and I both at the same time. It's like, oh wait, I forgot. I'm not supposed to analyze this.
No, you are. You are. But that's good education.
That is.
Thanks so much for
You're welcome.
sharing.
Is that about what you wanted?
That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Just sharing some of that business knowledge, economic knowledge with the rest of the
Well, very good. Very good.
It's awesome.
That project you worked on.
So yes. Yep. I'm gonna try and put a few more of these over.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's hope.
Yes.